Hello, today is September 6th, so we are now in day 6 of student loan interest accumulating on our student loans. I want to talk about what does this mean? How do you calculate the interest that is adding up on your student loan? And then how does Biden's new SAVE program treat interest, right? That's what we're going to go over in this video. Additionally, I want to talk about some of the latest, any program deadlines, any updates that may come about. Excuse some of the background noise. I'm here in a cafe, but I did not want to miss coming with a video since it's been about a week or so. It's been a little over a week since I went live with Wilson. Got a lot of great feedback. Getting a lot of clients through the door. If you all did miss my live with Wilson, super informative about how to prepare for repayment. I definitely recommend you checking that out. Additionally, we have rolled out a membership program here at LoanSense to provide ongoing support for clients. We rolled out an individual and couples membership, and surprisingly, more couples are signing up than individuals. So I'm really excited to be helping couples out, and couples can even be a child with a parent. Okay, so just wanted to put that out there. So now let's get back to the content of the video. If you know anyone that could be helped by this video, please share, please like, please subscribe, and of course, please list your questions below because that will drive future video content. So let's get started right away. How is interest calculated? This is a really great question. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, how much interest is accumulating on my student loan? And I was like, okay, this is like a very much get back to the basics. Let's think about it. Okay. I'm going to simplify the calculation a little. I'm going to move my face over here so you could see as I type. So let's do the math together, and I'm going to simplify it by saying, let's say somebody has about $100,000 in student loans. Okay. In student loans at, I'm going to say at 6% interest. And I'm making it 6% interest just to make our lives easy. I know oftentimes student loans don't come in that simple of a of interest rates, right? At 6% interest, that's a pretty easy calculation. That's $6,000, okay? That $6,000, this is simple interest annually, okay? $6,000, and if you want to know what your daily interest rate is you simply divide this by 365 days, and this gets, now I'm going to use a calculator here, this will get your daily amount of accumulating interest on a simple interest calculation, okay, which is $16.43. By the month, if you take this $6,000 and you divide by the month instead, that is accumulating at daily or $500 a month, right? I'm just taking 6,000 divided by 12, pretty simple, $500 a month. Okay, so now let's talk about how would the SAVE program treat this interest, okay? How would they treat this interest? I am going to screenshot this at some point, so I'm probably going to make that smaller, but I'll deal with the formatting later. So and then I'm going to move my face. So let me move my face down here now. Actually, let me move it. Where can I move it? Or make it a little smaller so you all could see both items. So how does SAVE treat this interest? So how SAVE treats this interest is it essentially says, okay, 500 of interest is accumulating a month. That's not even touching the principal, right? Well, the SAVE program still uses Biden's formula called discretionary income, but what it does is it allows you to calculate 225% of the poverty line instead of 150. So it basically takes your adjusted gross income. So let's say I earn $100,000 a year, again, just to make the formula super simple. And then it takes $100,000 minus 2.25 instead of 1.5 of the poverty line based on your family size, okay? So I'm not going to go look this up right now. I'm just trying to give an example of what happens. I'm just going to make up some numbers for the purpose of this example. But essentially, whatever that number is, it's going to use a weighted average of undergrad to grad school loans. So let's, just for the purpose of this example, I'm just going to say I have all graduate school loans, and so I'm going to weight it at 10%, right? So it's basically going to take this amount, whatever this amount equals to, it's going to take it's going to take this amount times 10%, and that's your annual payment. So then you divide by 12. So to simplify this, let me just use a random poverty line number that I'm just going to make it simple. I'm just going to use 27,000 for a single person. I don't know if that's the exact number. It's around there, right? So 27,000 times 2.25 is $100,000 basically, minus it's $100,000 minus $60,750. Okay, I made the poverty line 27,000. Okay, I basically made this poverty line 27,000. I get this amount, right? So I take $100,000 minus this amount of $60,750. That's $39,250. I times by 10% because I have all grad school loans. That amount is $3,925 a year, 3,925. And then I divide it by 12 because they're monthly payments, which comes to about $327, okay, a month. That's my student loan payment. I wanted to show this example because despite having a pretty high income in this example, I wanted to show you that my payment of $327,000, $100,000 of earnings, qualifies me to make a lower payment than the amount of accumulating interest on my student loan. I wanted to show this. I have $500 of accumulating interest, but my payment's only $327 a month. So what happens to that remainder $173, right? Just some little mental math. What happens to that remainder $173, right? Essentially, there's $173 of interest that isn't being paid, right? In this example. So what happens is that, I don't know what's happening with my, I'm going to move this up here. Essentially what happens is the SAVE program says that this $173 is forgiven as long as the individual files their paperwork the following year on time and remains in the program, okay? This $173 will be completely forgiven when you recertify your income. Let's say your income goes down and your payment goes down, then the amount of your payment will go lower and the amount of interest that the government has to forgive will also go lower. The amount of interest the government will have to forgive goes higher, right? Because your payment is lower. The point being that it almost makes the amount of daily interest accruing on your student loan not as important because you're not going to pay off that full amount of interest on the SAVE program. If you're a public servant, you're going to have to make these payments for 10 years. If you're not a public servant, you're a private sector employee, undergrad loans will be 20 years unless you've borrowed under $13,000, right? And if you have grad school loans, you'll make minimum payments for 25 years. The reason I mention this is because on other prior programs, the government wouldn't have forgiven this interest at 100% every single year. It would be accumulating. So $173 would be accumulating. So let's say you had $173 accumulate for 12 months. That would then be $2,074, right? So this is why people say, oh, my balance is growing even though I'm in this program, right? And let's say by the end, let's say they're a public servant and that by the end of 10 years of this, their balance will have grown by $20,760, right? So at the end, they would get the principal balance, what they borrowed, because they didn't even touch the principal, right? So that $100,000 plus the $20,000. So at the end, essentially, this public servant, if their income did not go up at all, just to make the example simple, would get $120,000 and $120,760 forgiven at the very end. That's how prior programs work. Now with the SAVE program, If the government forgives this $2,076 every single year, this additional amount will no longer be added, right? So this is no longer, I almost want to strike through. This is not how it's going to be anymore. Whoops, it strike through the whole thing. I didn't mean to do that. This would no longer be the case, that it's accumulating to the whole principal. This $20,760 would be forgiven every single year when you file the paperwork on time. So that wouldn't be accumulating. And the amount that's forgiven at the end is whatever principal balance and whatever that wasn't paid off of the principal and interest in the very get-go. So in this example, your 100,000 would get forgiven, but not the difference between the interest, okay? So I just want to make it very clear what it means to not have a growing balance. Also, the interest that's compounding that you're not paying is also forgiven year over year. So I wanted to point that out. That's the difference between save and how interest is treated. I hope I didn't cause more confusion than education, but I want to now go on to some important updates. We still have and I'm going to put it here, we're going to have still, I'm going to move my face as well to go in the middle. We still have a December 31st, 2023 deadline to file into income-driven programs and credit prior payments up to 3 years of non-payments. In addition, it's called the IDR Waiver program. We have a December 31st, 2023 deadline for that. The deadline also requires consolidation of FFEL loans to be turned into direct loans where your payments on those FFEL loans will still be counted, right? That's huge benefit. So I wanted to talk about that. We don't want to forget about that. If the SAVE program is of huge benefit to the majority of Americans, if you have a huge boost and upward earning potential and you're already in pay as you earn, you may want to consider staying in that. Let's have a discussion. Also, if you're married and have to make a 2024 tax filing decision, I would certainly consider a consultation so you can understand the impacts on your payments, especially if you will enroll in SAVE, okay? Those are some scenarios that I want to talk about to make sure people are getting the right guidance, because it could literally mean going from, you know, $500, $600, $700 payments plus to very low payments with a tax filing decision. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, if you'd like to share this to anybody, would help. Anyone can get a completely free plan on the benefits of SAVE, enrolling into the right programs, everything at app.myloansense.com, and we are on standby. Thank you and have a great rest of the week. We will see you next week. We have a special treat. I will be filming a video with Melanie Meths. She is awesome. She just joined our advising team. She studied chemical engineering. She is just whip smart and super into the numbers, so she can help people calculate anything they need in terms of questions like, what is my interest? What is my future savings if I go PSLF? Things of that nature. What are the implications of filing my income taxes jointly, separately? All those questions, we're here on standby. Can't wait to do a video with her next week. We will talk to you soon.